If you're watching this right now, it's not an accident. Something inside you already knows that the life you've been living, the version of yourself you've been maintaining, just reached its expiration point. You didn't plan this moment, but your consciousness did. What you're feeling right now, this strange exhaustion, this quiet detachment from everything that used to matter, this sudden inability to care about goals that once consumed you, isn't depression, and it's not failure. It's the sound of an old frequency collapsing. And when a frequency collapses, it doesn't just disappear. It makes space. Space for a higher timeline to lock into place. You see, in quantum terms, you've been existing in superposition, multiple versions of you coexisting in the field of potential, and for years you kept collapsing into the same one, the familiar one, the safe one. But something shifted. Your observation point moved. And now, whether you realize it or not, you're no longer anchored to your past self. You're standing in the gap between who you were and who you're becoming. And that gap? That's sacred ground. That's where timelines converge. Let me explain what's actually happening to you. Imagine your life as a radio station. For years, maybe decades, you've been tuned to the same frequency, playing the same emotional playlist on repeat. Same worries in the morning. Same conversations with yourself. Same reactions to stress. Same version of you day after day, like a song that never ends, just restarts. You told yourself you'd change. You read the books, watched the videos, set the intentions, and for a moment, you felt different. But then, without knowing why, you'd find yourself back in the old pattern, the old frequency, like your body had a mind of its own. And here's the truth. It did. Your body is a biological archive. Every emotion you've ever repeated has been chemically recorded, stored in your cells, your nervous system, your heart's electromagnetic field. This isn't a metaphor. This is measurable science. Your nervous system was trained for survival, not transformation. It learned to keep you safe by keeping you the same. So every time you tried to change, your body interpreted it as danger and pulled you back to the familiar emotional state, the known frequency. That's why willpower never worked. You weren't weak. You were fighting your own biology. But what you're experiencing now is different. This isn't another failed attempt at change. This is a collapse. The old frequency, the one your body has been clinging to, just lost its coherence. And you didn't force it. You didn't push it. It dissolved on its own because you finally stopped feeding it your attention, your belief, your identity. And now, in this moment of stillness, of strange emptiness, of not knowing who you are anymore, a higher timeline is quietly attaching itself to your reality. This video will show you exactly how to recognize it, how to stabilize it, and how to walk through this convergence without falling back into the old version of yourself. You are not one person. You never were. In quantum terms, you exist in superposition. Multiple versions of you layered on top of each other in the field of all possible realities, waiting to be called into form. Every morning when you open your eyes, before thought takes over, before memory tells you who you are, all of those versions are present. The you who is confident, the you who is free, the you who trusts life, the you who creates without fear. They're all there, shimmering in potential like instruments in an orchestra waiting for the conductor's signal. But here's what's been happening. The moment you wake up, the moment you remember your name, your problems, your story, you become the conductor who only knows one song. And so you collapse again and again into the same version. The familiar you, the predictable you, the safe you. Think of it like this. Imagine a silent laboratory where a particle exists in multiple places at once, spinning in every direction simultaneously, holding all possibilities within itself. But the moment someone observes it, the moment attention lands on it, it chooses. It collapses into one position, one spin, one reality. That's called the observer effect. And it's not just happening in labs. It's happening inside you every single day. Your attention is the observer. And for years you've been observing yourself from the past. You wake up and immediately ask, who am I? What do I need to worry about? What's wrong? What didn't I finish yesterday? And the field responds. It collapses you back into the version that matches those questions. Not because you're broken, but because the quantum field doesn't judge. It simply mirrors the frequency of the observer. Let me give you a concrete example. You wake up tomorrow morning. For the first 3 seconds, you don't know who you are yet. You're still in the gap. But then the thought comes, I'm tired. I have so much to do. I don't want to deal with this. And in that moment, you just observed yourself as the tired, overwhelmed version. And the rest of the day unfolds from that collapsed state. The conversations you have, the decisions you make, the energy people feel from you, all of it is now playing out the movie of that one collapsed identity. You didn't choose it consciously. You chose it by reflex, by habit, by observing yourself through the lens of yesterday. Now here's the gift in what you're experiencing right now. That reflex, it's weakening. The old observer inside you, the one who always knew exactly who you were, what you feared, what you wanted, that observer is losing coherence. It's like the conductor put down the baton and walked off stage. And for the first time in years, maybe in your entire life, you're standing in the silence before the collapse. You're in superposition. You don't know who you are anymore. And that's not confusion. That's freedom. That's the quantum moment where a new timeline can lock in. So here's what I want you to do. Tomorrow morning, in those first few seconds after you wake up, before you reach for your phone, before you remember your to-do list, pause. Place one hand on your heart. Feel your breath. And instead of asking, who am I, ask this, who am I becoming? Let your body feel that question. Don't answer it with your mind. Just hold the question in your chest like a tuning fork and notice what frequency wants to emerge. That's not a metaphor. That's you learning to observe yourself from the future, not the past. That's how you collapse into a higher timeline. Your body is not a vehicle you drive. It's a living archive, a biological library where every emotion you've ever felt has been cataloged, filed, and stored as chemistry. Every time you felt anxious, your body released a specific cocktail of stress hormones: cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine. Every time you felt unworthy, your nervous system played a particular electrical pattern, like a song on repeat. And here's what most people don't realize. Your body became addicted to those emotions, not because it likes suffering, but because it craves familiarity. In neurobiological terms, your body learned that anxiety equals survival. It learned that worry means you're being vigilant, and vigilance means you're safe. So now, even when there's no threat, your body keeps producing the same emotional chemistry, the same stress response, because that's the soundtrack it knows. That's the frequency it's been playing for years. Think of your nervous system as an internal radio that's been stuck on the same station since childhood. Every morning, it automatically tunes to the frequency of fear, or lack, or control. It doesn't ask permission. It just starts playing. And the moment that music begins, your thoughts follow. Your body feels anxious, so your mind searches for something to be anxious about. Your body feels unworthy, so your mind finds evidence of unworthiness. This isn't a personality flaw. This is your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do. Keep you locked in the known emotional state, the familiar frequency, because from a survival perspective, familiar equals safe, even if familiar feels terrible. Now, here's where it gets deeper. Your heart is not just a pump. It generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond your body, and that field is constantly broadcasting your emotional state into the space around you. When you're in coherence, when your heart rhythm is smooth, calm, and synchronized, your field expands. It becomes organized. It influences the nervous systems of people near you, animals, even plants. But when you're in stress, when you're replaying the old emotional pattern, your field becomes chaotic, contracted, incoherent. And here's the key. The field doesn't broadcast what you say or what you pretend to feel. It broadcasts the emotional frequency your body is actually living in. That's why people can feel your energy before you speak. That's why certain spaces feel heavy or light. The field doesn't lie. It only reflects the tone you're holding inside. Let me give you a real example. You wake up tomorrow and immediately feel that familiar heaviness in your chest. It's not about anything specific, it's just there. That's your body starting to play the old emotional music. And within seconds, your mind joins in. I'm behind. I'm not enough. I should be further ahead by now. Now you're in full resonance with the past version of yourself. And for the rest of the day, every decision, every conversation, every opportunity you encounter will be filtered through that frequency. You'll attract situations that match it. You'll interpret neutral events as confirmation of it, not because the universe is punishing you, but because the field responds to coherence. It mirrors the dominant tone. So here's your practice. Right now, as you're listening to this, place both hands on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. Take 3 slow breaths, longer on the exhale than the inhale. And as you breathe, imagine your heart as a speaker, and you're slowly turning down the volume on the old song, the old frequency. You're not fighting it. You're not forcing it to stop. You're just withdrawing your attention from it, withdrawing your belief in it. And in that space, in that brief silence between breaths, a new frequency has room to emerge. That's not visualization. That's you beginning to retrain your nervous system, note by note, breath by breath. There is a moment every single day when you exist in pure potential. It happens in the morning, in those first few seconds after you wake up, before thought fully forms, before memory tells you who you are, before your nervous system starts playing yesterday's emotional soundtrack. In that moment, you are nobody. And being nobody is the most powerful state you can occupy. Because when you're nobody, you're also everybody. You're in quantum superposition again. All versions of you are available. The confident you, the peaceful you, the one who trusts life completely. They're all standing in the doorway, waiting to see which one you'll call into the room. This is not a spiritual concept. This is neuroscience. Your brain is in peak neuroplastic mode in the first hour after waking. Your cortisol and dopamine levels are naturally elevated, creating the perfect conditions for rewiring, for forming new patterns, for choosing a different version of yourself to collapse into. But here's what most people do. They open their eyes and within seconds they reach for their phone, or they immediately start thinking about everything they have to do, everything that's wrong, everything they didn't finish yesterday. And in that moment, they just collapsed back into the old identity, the familiar frequency, the known version. They became the observer from the past again, and the entire day unfolds from that collapsed state. Not because they're weak, but because they didn't know there was a gap. They didn't know they had a choice. Viktor Frankl once said, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." That space, it's not just philosophical, it's physical. It's the brief pause between the moment something happens and the moment you react. And in that pause, in that sacred gap, a new version of you can emerge. But you have to learn to see it. You have to train yourself to catch the gap before the old identity rushes in to fill it. Here's how you do it. Tomorrow morning, the moment you wake up, don't move yet. Don't reach for anything. Just lie there for 10 seconds. Place one hand on your heart, the other on your belly. Feel your breath moving in and out. And instead of asking, "What do I have to do today?" ask this: "Who do I want to become today?" Don't answer with your mind. Let your body answer. Let your heart answer. Maybe you feel a softness in your chest. Maybe your breath slows down. Maybe there's a quiet sense of trust that wasn't there before. That's not imagination. That's you accessing a different frequency, a different version of yourself that exists in the field of potential. That's you learning to observe from the future instead of the past. Now, throughout the day, you'll notice moments where the old pattern tries to take over. Someone says something triggering. You feel anxiety rising. Your body starts to tighten. This is the gap. This is the space between stimulus and response. And instead of immediately reacting, instead of becoming the anxious version, pause. Just for 3 seconds. Place your hand on your chest again. Take one slow breath. And in that pause, you become the witness. You're not the anxiety. You're the one watching the anxiety. And the moment you witness it without participating in it, without becoming it, you create a crack in the old identity. You widen the gap. And in that widened space, a new response, a new version of you, has room to emerge. This is how you stop collapsing into the past. This is how you start living from the future. Now let's talk about what nobody prepares you for, the withdrawal, because that's exactly what this is. You've been chemically addicted to your own emotions for years, maybe decades, and now you're trying to stop. You're trying to stop being anxious. You're trying to stop worrying. You're trying to stop being the version of yourself that your body has been producing like clockwork every single day. And your body is not happy about it. Your nervous system doesn't understand that you're trying to evolve. It only understands that something familiar is missing, and missing equals danger. So it starts sending distress signals. You feel restless, irritable, empty, like something is wrong even though nothing specific is wrong. You might feel waves of anxiety for no reason. You might feel unmotivated, flat, like the color drained out of life. This is not a sign that you're failing. This is a sign that you're changing. Think of it like this. Imagine someone who's been drinking 3 cups of coffee every day for 10 years suddenly stops. Their body doesn't just accept it. They get headaches, fatigue, brain fog. Their system is screaming, "Where's the coffee? We need the coffee." But they're not actually deficient in coffee. They're just going through withdrawal. And in about 7 to 10 days, their system recalibrates and they feel normal again, maybe even better than before. The same thing is happening to you right now, except instead of coffee, you're withdrawing from the emotional chemicals your body has been addicted to. Your body is screaming, "Where's the anxiety? Where's the worry? We need those stress hormones." But you don't. You're just in the gap between the old frequency and the new one. And that gap feels like emptiness because the old is gone, but the new hasn't fully stabilized yet. Here's what the science shows. It takes about 21 days to start forming a new neural pathway, to begin teaching your brain a different pattern. But it takes closer to 63 days for that pathway to stabilize, for it to become automatic, for your body to stop craving the old emotional chemistry and start producing a new one. Some deeper patterns might take multiple cycles of 63 days. And during those first weeks, especially the first 7 to 10 days, you're going to feel the discomfort most intensely. You're going to wake up and feel that familiar pull to worry, to doubt, to collapse back into the old version. That pull isn't evidence that you're not changing. It's evidence that your nervous system is trying to bring you back to homeostasis, back to the known state. But every single time you pause, every time you breathe through it without reacting, every time you witness the pull without becoming it, you weaken the old pathway and strengthen the new one. Let me give you a concrete timeline so you know what to expect. Days 1 to 7. This is the hardest part. Your body is in full withdrawal. You'll feel the old emotions rising, trying to pull you back. You might feel anxious, sad, or just strange, like you don't know who you are anymore. That strangeness is sacred. It means the old identity is losing its grip. Days 7 to 21. The intensity starts to soften. You'll still feel the pull, but it won't be as loud. You'll start to notice moments of peace, moments where the new frequency feels more natural. Days 21 to 63. The new pattern is stabilizing. Your body is starting to produce different chemistry. You're waking up lighter. Your default state is shifting from fear to trust, from survival to creation. And after 63 days, you're living in a different timeline. Not because you forced it, but because you stayed present through the withdrawal, through the void, through the collapse of the old frequency. So when you feel that emptiness, that restlessness, that strange discomfort in the coming days, remember this. Your body is not broken. It's recalibrating. It's learning a new song. And the discomfort you feel is not a setback. It's the sound of an old frequency dying and a new one being born. Here's something most people don't realize. Reality doesn't work like a mirror. It works like a screen. A mirror reflects what's already there, neutral and passive. But a screen projects what's inside the projector, and you are the projector. Your inner state, your dominant emotional frequency, your nervous system's baseline tone. That's the film running inside you, and the world around you is the screen where that film gets projected. Not metaphorically, literally. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you say or what you want. It responds to what you are, to the frequency you're broadcasting, moment to moment, from the deepest part of your being. And the most powerful broadcaster in your entire body is your heart. Research from the HeartMath Institute has shown that the electromagnetic field generated by your heart is the most powerful rhythmic energy field your body produces. It's 5,000 times stronger than the field produced by your brain, and it extends up to 10 feet beyond your physical body in all directions. This field is not static. It changes constantly, depending on your emotional state. When you're in fear, stress, or anxiety, the field becomes chaotic, incoherent, contracted. But when you're in coherence, when you feel trust, gratitude, peace, the field becomes organized, smooth, expansive. And here's the key. This field doesn't just exist around you. It affects everyone and everything within its range. People can feel it before you speak. Animals respond to it. Even plants respond to it. Your heart is broadcasting your internal state into the space around you, shaping the field environment you move through. This isn't just individual. This is collective. There's a concept in biology called morphic resonance, introduced by scientist Rupert Sheldrake. It suggests that when one person in a system learns something new, when one person stabilizes a new frequency, it becomes easier for others to access that same state. Not through words or teaching, but through resonance, through the invisible field that connects all living systems. Think of it like this. The first person to run a 4-minute mile had to break through an impossible barrier. But once one person did it, suddenly dozens of others could do it too, within just a few years. Not because they got physically stronger, but because the field itself shifted. A new possibility became available in the collective consciousness. So when you stabilize a new frequency within yourself, when you stop collapsing into fear and start living from trust, you're not just changing your own life. You're making it easier for everyone around you to access that same state. Your nervous system becomes a tuning fork for others. Your heart's electromagnetic field starts broadcasting coherence instead of chaos. And people who spend time near you, even if they don't understand why, start to feel calmer, clearer, more capable of change. This is not responsibility in the heavy sense. This is sacred responsibility. This is love made measurable. You change the field by changing yourself. Here's your practice. Once a day, for just 3 minutes, sit quietly with your hand on your heart. Breathe slowly, 5 seconds in, 7 seconds out. And as you breathe, intentionally generate a feeling of gratitude or peace in your chest. It doesn't matter if the feeling is small. What matters is the intention. As you do this, your heart rhythm shifts into coherence, and your electromagnetic field becomes organized, expansive. And in that moment, you're not just healing yourself. You're changing the field environment around you. You're becoming a stabilizing force in the collective nervous system. You're broadcasting a new frequency into the world, and that frequency makes it easier for others to find their way home too. There's a state beyond stabilizing a new frequency. It's the state of becoming fluid itself. Water doesn't fight to be water. It doesn't cling to being a river or a wave or a raindrop. It simply is. And because it doesn't hold on to any one form, it can become all forms. It can flow through the narrowest crack, fill any container, freeze into ice, evaporate into mist, and still remain itself. This is superfluidity, the ability to move through life without rigidity, without clinging to any single version of yourself, without needing to prove or protect or maintain a fixed identity. And this is the highest state of consciousness. To be fully yourself while being no one at all. To live as the field that chooses, moment to moment, which reality to collapse into rather than the collapsed version defending its existence. Most people spend their entire lives fighting to be someone. They build an identity. I am this kind of person, I am not that kind of person. And then they spend all their energy defending it, proving it, keeping it intact. But that identity is a prison. It's a single collapsed state in a field of infinite possibilities. And the moment you realize that you are not the wave, you are the ocean, everything changes. You stop needing to be consistent. You stop needing people to see you a certain way. You can be strong in one moment and soft in the next. You can be a teacher in one conversation and a student in another. You can hold a role, parent, partner, professional, without becoming that role. Without forgetting that underneath every role is pure awareness, pure potential, the uncollapsed self. Think about quantum superposition again. A particle doesn't collapse until it's observed. Before that, it exists in all possible states simultaneously. That's your natural state too. Before you tell yourself who you are, before you remember your story, you are all versions at once. The awakened version, the confused version, the peaceful version, the striving version. They're all present, waiting in superposition. And when you stop identifying with one collapsed version, when you stop defending who I am and start living as what I am, which is awareness itself, the observer, the field, you become free. Free to respond to life freshly, moment by moment, without the weight of maintaining a consistent self. Here's what this looks like in daily life. Someone criticizes you. In the old state, you would defend your identity, prove them wrong, collapse into the I am right version or the I am hurt version. But in superfluidity, you simply observe. You feel the criticism land. You notice the impulse to react. And instead of collapsing into a defensive identity, you stay as the observer. You might respond with clarity, or silence, or curiosity. But you're not reacting from a fixed self that needs protecting. You're responding from the field, from presence, from the fluid awareness that can take any shape without losing itself. This doesn't mean you have no boundaries or no preferences. It means you're no longer imprisoned by them. You can commit fully to a relationship, a project, a vision, without clinging to it. You can love deeply without needing to possess. You can create powerfully without needing to prove. You move through phases of life, success, failure, loss, renewal, like water moving through different landscapes, never resisting the shape of the moment, never forgetting that you are not the shape. You are what takes the shape. So here's the invitation. Over the next weeks, as you stabilize this new frequency, start to notice the moments when you cling to being a certain version of yourself. Notice when you need to be right, or consistent, or understood. And in those moments, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what if I didn't need to be anyone right now? What if I could just be awareness, responding freshly to this moment? That question is not a philosophy. It's a doorway. It's the transition from living as a collapsed particle to living as the field itself. And once you walk through it, you'll never be the same. Because you'll finally understand. You were never meant to be one person. You were always meant to be free. Take a breath and feel what just shifted. You started this thinking something was wrong with you. The exhaustion, the detachment, the emptiness. But now you understand. You weren't failing. You were collapsing. The old frequency just reached its expiration point. And all that discomfort? That was freedom beginning to emerge. You learned that you exist in superposition, that your body became addicted to old emotions not from weakness but survival, and that change isn't about willpower. It's about retraining your nervous system and heart's electromagnetic field. And this isn't just personal. When you stabilize a new frequency, you change the collective field. You make it easier for others to awaken too. Here's what's coming. You'll wake up lighter. Decisions will become clearer. Some relationships will fade naturally while new synchronicities appear. You'll realize you were never broken, never behind. You were always exactly where you needed to be, preparing for this convergence. Now practice one thing in the next 24 hours. The morning pause, the gap between stimulus and response, or 3 minutes of coherent breathing. Just one. And notice what shifts. If this resonated, leave a like. Signal that this content needs to reach more people. Subscribe and share with someone who thinks they're failing when they're actually transforming. Comment below. Which practice will you try? Your words help others realize they're not alone. Ready for the next step? The video appearing now. If you're seeing this, your old timeline just reached its collapse point. Shows you how to navigate the final phase without falling back. It's the continuation of everything we just explored. Your future self is waiting. Click now.